Good morning. It is Tuesday, the 10th of August, on what is a cool, slightly overcast summer's day, back in the reading nook, with a nice hot cup of tea, and of course, some parcels to unbox. So let's get to it. I'm going to start with this, which is Escape the Dark Sector, the game of deep space adventure from Themeborne Games. Let me see. Escape the Dark Sector is a simple sci-fi adventure game with a focus on atmosphere, storytelling and player cooperation, perfect for newcomers to tabletop gaming. You're playing as the crew of an impounded starship. You find yourselves confined to the detention block of a vast space station. Using a variety of advanced gear and weaponry, embark on a desperate mission to find your ship and blast your way home. Can you escape the dark? So, game features, 2-minute setup, simple rules, easy to learn, social cooperative gameplay, rich atmospheric adventure, thrilling tactical combat, and a different challenge every time. Plays in about 45 minutes, 1 to 4 players, so you can play it solo, ages 14 plus. So this is what we've got on the back. Okay, so now the only thing to know is essentially this is the sci-fi sequel or second version of an earlier game called Escape the Dark Castle. And Escape the Dark Castle, you were prisoners in a dungeon, and similarly to the fact that you had to escape a darkened space station, you have to escape a dark castle, go through the catacombs and tunnels and torture chambers and so on, through the halls to face essentially a big bad at the very end and escape. And you had roles like Cook and Tanner and so on, and they each had their strengths and abilities, and you roll dice to see how they do, facing monsters, overcoming challenges, collecting items which will be useful, and so on. So essentially it's I am reminded of a scenario for Judges Guild called, I think, Escape from Astagar's Lair, which is a 2-player tournament adventure where there's like a druid and a ranger, and they had to escape from the den of a vile sorcerer, Astagar. So this is a bit similar. Essentially, a lot of scenarios are really sort of like, you're trying to get in, especially in in solo adventures, like Warlock of Fire Torment, and you're trying to get into the furthest reaches of the dungeon of basically the Warlock of Fire Mountain, or basically Forest of Chaos. You're trying to get into the depths of the forest and so on. But in this game, you're trying to get out. So this is a science fiction version. So let's have a look inside. I did enjoy Escape from the Dark Castle. We've played it quite a bit. We've got all 3 expansions. They're all different, and to some extent they kind of work. 2 of them work better with the core game and each other than the third. The third is very thematically different. Basically, you're dealing with plague, the plight of a plague, and you face a plague lord at the end. But I've reviewed all of those on my blog. So if you're looking for if you look up Escape from the Dark Castle, you will find reviews of the board game and all of expansions. So let's see what we've got in here. Let's see whether I can. So here we go. Just to show you. Just don't want those falling out because so we've got the rulebook. Then these are the dice. Then you've got chapter cards, real pencils, and then the cards for the items, and so on. So you've actually got quite a lot of dice. You've actually got 2 layers of dice here. So some of the dice are. Let's just get these out. So we see. Here we go. So yeah, some of these dice are keyed to the characters. So Lieutenant Abbott, Tanner, Lieutenant Cook, and essentially those kind of replicate the roles in Escape from the Dark Castle, where you're basically an abbot, a cook, a tanner, and so on. We have medical record, okay, for the characters, and if we open up these cards, first let's just look at the rulebook next. So here's the rulebook. Basically got a nice explanation of the components before we get into the rules, and essentially just setting up the game. And you can see some of the artwork here, and I'll show you more of it on the cards in a moment. But the artwork itself has a very grungy feel. And whereas in Escape from the Dark Castle, you know, obviously it's you bottom of a castle, it's dirty, mucky, dirty, it's muddy, you know, whatever. And yeah, so basically it's not nice. It's in the dark sector. I think we basically Escape from the Dark Sector. The artwork, if you just see one there, that's one of the character cards. That's Lieutenant Smith. It has what I would feel is has a grunge to it, quite a dirty space feel. So you're looking really back at the science fiction of the late 70s, in particular films like Outland and Aliens, where space is a place to work. You know, not to fly around in nice clean jumpsuits with bright white shiny consoles and all blinking lights. It's a place to work, and you're going to get dirty and hot, and so on. So it has that feel. So I think we've got a cat just jump over the door to the back garden, the garden gate. So anyway, here we go, explanation of combat and how the hit point tracker works. So yeah, Escape the Dark Sector has kind of an aesthetic that from the late 70s, very early 80s, with films like Outland and Alien. And the thing about that is it's not surprising, because essentially it's the same period that Escape from the Dark Castle is drawing upon, with its fantasy art and the look of sort of things like Warlock of Firetop Mountain and similar. And the interesting thing is what this does add over Escape from the Dark Castle is ammo dice, which means that when the characters get involved in combat, it's very likely that they can use ranged weapons, so they will be rolling ammo dice, which is a nice addition, and it makes sense in terms of the setting. I mean, it would have been nice perhaps, say there was an expansion for Escape the Dark Castle where, you know, they could pick one of the items of equipment might be a crossbow that the characters could pick up. Perhaps that's due for a later expansion, I don't know. So that's combat. And basically, you've got an example of range of combat. So everything is nicely, clearly laid out, nicely written, obvious to find. Again, we go on to close combat, and essentially it's possible to flank the enemy. Basically, your face as you're escaping the Dark Sector, so you can gang up. And then we've got rules in there for solo play, which is always good, and of course there's a bit of advertising at the back. So we have Escape the Dark Castle and the 3 expansions. So let's have a look at some of the artwork. So just peel this open. Just always trying. There we go. Just trying to find the little tag to which there we go, where you can pull it open. Just there. So you've got a huge stack of these. So one each for the characters. So that's basically that's Lieutenant Smith. but you can see sort of what I mean about the grunge of the artwork. Lieutenant Miller. Strange they're all lieutenants there. Lieutenant Tanner. Lieutenant Cook. So you've got multiple choices in terms of characters as well. Lieutenant Taylor. Lieutenant Abbott. And then we have essentially encounters like things like the entity, and these essentially are what you're trying to roll. Basically, the symbols you need to roll in order to defeat the creature. Mother of Machines, Alien Queen, so on. And these are essentially end of chapter bads. Okay, essentially the big bads essentially they come at the end of the end of the game. Basically, what you have to defeat to make the final escape. Essentially, a bit like defeating Darth Vader to escape from the spaceship, and then elsewhere in particular areas you might encounter a dusty mech. A cargo bot. So all very mechanical, except for things like that. I'm not going to say what that's inspired by, but I'm going to leave that to your imagination. And they run into a shady deal. So all of these cards have got a bit of text and a bit of colour text and explanation of the rules for that particular scene, and essentially the on this one, for example, as a group, basically you can choose. You can bribe them. Basically, you hand over the items, goods you've got. Discard an item for each member of the crew. They let you pass. Guns trained onto you, or they attack. We don't fear the likes of them. Begin combat. So at the same time, the cards have got options on them. You can choose what you want to do, much like a solo adventure story. And again, it's sort of because of the a lot of cases, the nature of the cards is they are drawn at random. You're not going to play through all of these in one go. You're going to create a deck with one of the end of level bosses at the end, and then play your way through. Basically, not knowing quite what you're going to face. So there's a degree of story building and storytelling in there as well as you go through and how you survive. So lots of options in there, plenty to play through. And a fair degree of replayability value. And then, of course, what we have is a similar treatment for the action cards. I'm not going to open all of those because otherwise it's just going to be me showing cards. But essentially, that's like here's the range actions options card. So you're going to get reference cards in there as well, so the players can share. So that's Escape from the Dark Sector, science fiction. Essentially cooperative or solo sort of like storytelling game from Themeborne Games. I will have a review of this up very soon. In fact, probably up by the time you get to see this video, I will have done the review because I'm going to do a weekend of solo reviews or solo games that allow solo play. So that's Escape from the Dark Sector from Themeborne Games. Review coming soon. Yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed watching this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, please do click the like button down below. If you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook and see me here with stack of parcels, a game I'm going to talk about for 10 minutes or so, and not forgetting a nice hot cup of tea, please do hit that subscribe button. Again, thanks for watching. I'm going to be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.